Before we begin tonight's meeting, we're going to be swearing in a new board member. Unfortunately, Mike Leonard had to resign his position because of a family matter. So we have Jason Angel. The board has already appointed him, so we'll be doing the official swearing in tonight of Jason. And his wife Jocelyn is here, and I believe his whole family's here, right? So we should step down to the microphone over here, Jason. Okay. Jocelyn, would you come up?
Y'all gotta come on up.
Come on up. The whole family should be up here. Absolutely.
It's fun.
A big moment, too. It is a big deal.
Hey, guys.
Keep your mask on.
Okay.
A family member can hold the
No, would you?
Constitution.
Would you hold that? Thank you. Evan, do you want to help?
Raise your right hand. Put your hand on the your right hand, your left hand on the Constitution. You raise your right hand.
All right,
So I'll
I got
get
this.
over in here. We can get this position better.
That's good.
Repeat after me. I, Jason Angel, being duly sworn, depose and say.
I, Jason Angel, being duly sworn, depose and say.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of New York.
And the Constitution of the State of New York.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office.
And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office.
Of councilman in the town of Philipstown.
Of councilman in the town of Philipstown.
County of Putnam.
County of Putnam.
And State of New York, according to the best of my ability.
And State of New York, according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, very much.
Welcome, Jason.
Very much.
Welcome aboard. Now for the good part.
I object.
I don't blame you. This is objectionable.
The members of the Philipstown Depot Theater Corporation being made up of
Oh, Claudio, I guess you're going to have to go to the mic.
the members of the corporation of the Philipstown Depot Theater are the 5 members of the town board, 1 member appointed by the Recreation Commission, and 1 member appointed by the Depot Theater Board. Seems like I've been appointed by both. So there's really only 6 members. We would like to propose that Jim Semmelman, you have his resume and his curriculum vitae.
Being chairman, I'll call the meeting to order. We've already ascertained we have the presence of a quorum as the town board is here, and member Claudio Marzolo. So we have Jim Semmelman's agenda here. Looks pretty good, huh?
He is a longtime professional Broadway stage manager. As a matter of fact, he's already had a training session for the young theater, the children's theater we're running, and he's trained their stage managers so that things are running more smoothly now than they ever have.
You think he could get John and I on As the World Turns?
Well, you can try. So I hereby nominate him for membership on the board.
Could I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. One thing I would say is that in this town, when you look for volunteers, you certainly do get qualified people. Anyone who
Well, we're
takes a
very
look at
lucky.
this resume.
We're very lucky that we're so close to New York and there's so many good theater people in thing. Oh, one thing, Tara, I did not put his term in to stagger it properly because I didn't have the exact number. I will get that to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
I'm in favor.
All right, motion to adjourn carries. All in favor? Aye. Aye. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claudio. And thank you to Jim Semmelman for stepping up. This is quite a resume, wow. All right. All right, before we start the official meeting, would you rise and join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, approval of minutes, monthly town board meeting, June 3rd, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye. Bid opening of June 30th, 2021. This was the highway demolition project at the, for the highway garage.
I was not here.
Judy, can I get you to make a motion?
Nobody.
Oh, no.
So moved.
No one, so who was there? Just me, Bobby? and-
No, this was for the demo, this was for the one on,
So just Carl was here.
yeah, just Carl and Ron were here,
Well, I don't know why we're,
Yeah, why would we?
because we have to approve the minutes of the meeting.
well, it was a bid opening. We have a bid, everybody's seen it. So, I mean, I get a motion on the minutes, approving the minutes.
So
Second.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye. All right, committee reports, Conservation Board. That's Mike Leonard, right?
Yes, I attended along with Mike. He invited me to attend, and it was a Zoom meeting. And the Conservation Board focused on 3 properties, 80 Justin Lane, which is, the board is considering giving the owners permission to cut grass on the road. They also focused on 9 Winston Lane. A French drain was proposed to connect to the existing culvert, and Max Garfinkel suggested that they discuss it with the Highway Department before proceeding, so they agreed to do that. Most of the discussion at the June 8th meeting focused on the dredging of Rose's Pond. The pond has clay around the perimeter since it was constructed in the 1930s and sediment. And Rose's Pond has a watershed composed of undeveloped woodlands. Max Garfinkel also suggested, he supported making sure that the water quality is protected, not only in the pond, but downstream as well. And he has taken a look at it, as has a consultant for Manitoga, and Manitoga has supported the project moving forward. They do not see anything catastrophic with the pond. The consultant, Beth Evans, walked through with the Conservation Board the steps in the process. There is some turbidity associated with the project, but the board was satisfied with the report and voted unanimously to allow the project to proceed. That's it.
Thank you. Recreation.
The Recreation Commission met on June 29th. The Recreation Department reported that soccer, t-ball, and the Sluggers all wrapped up their seasons. Enrollment for fall preschool is full at 14 children, and aftercare is also full. At our last town board meeting, there was a question about extending the day for the preschool to 2 p.m., and that is the plan. The preschool day will be extended to 2 p.m. Summer camp has started and is also full. The enrollment is full, and all is going well with the summer camp, as well as the Depot's Theater summer camp. That is going well. That's the Recreation Commission is next meeting this month, July, at the end of July.
All right, thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
Can I just make the comment that my son Evan was in the T-ball camp at Rec, loved it. I may have loved it more, but he loved the T-ball.
Yeah, great programs. We're
We're so
fortunate.
happy they could open the programs this
Yeah,
summer.
I'll bet a lot of
In the
parents are
spring,
too.
Yes.
Philipstown Hub.
The Philipstown Hub had a meeting of the Philipstown Coalition that was a Zoom call. On the Zoom call, they discussed the legislation in New York State that has become law to allow the sale of marijuana, and it was a discussion that just focused on what impact it would have on the youth in our community. There is no position. The Hub has not taken a position on the legislation, but there was a discussion of that at the coalition meeting. The Hub also has a report of what they did during the pandemic that was shared with the town board, and they have served hundreds of people directly, as well as over 2,000 people. They've made contact with over 2,000 people throughout the pandemic who needed assistance from the Hub. So we have that report. We can post it on the website for anyone that might be interested. But they were very active and had more contacts throughout the past year, I think, than ever before. So we'd like to thank the Hub for being out there and on the front lines.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're doing great work. This must be Judy night. It's just like Judy, Judy, Judy.
I think that's it for me.
I didn't even, Peter, hello. How are you? Planning Board. Bobby's not here. Judy, you want to take that one?
Give it a shot, Judy.
Zoning.
Zoning, that's me.
Step right up.
I attended the June 14th meeting of the ZBA. There were 3 reviews for completeness of applications. Jenna Gerard and Jesse Husted Wildrick, 28 and 30 Hudson River Lane, Garrison. The applicants are seeking a special use permit to combine 2 existing lots into one and construct a new 4-bedroom home with a detached garage. The application was reviewed and scheduled for a public hearing on July 12th. Diana Castro, 3 Ferris Drive, Garrison, New York. This applicant is seeking a variance to construct a 478 square foot addition on an 807 foot pre-existing non-conforming structure. The applicant is proposing a 35-foot front setback where 50 feet is required. This application was also found complete and scheduled for the July 12th public hearing. Dana Raymond, 2, 4, and 6 Hudson River Lane in Garrison. The applicant is seeking a 10-foot variance where 30 feet is required. Her application was also complete and scheduled for a public hearing on July 12th. There was 1 public hearing held on June 14th for Seth and Kate Anderson, 34 Arden Drive in Garrison. The applicant is seeking a variance to build a 174 square foot addition and a 280 square foot open porch to a non-conforming structure. The public hearing was held and it was approved 5-0. Then their next meeting, as I said, is July 12th.
Perfect. Thank you. Highway.
That's me. Philipstown Town Board, Carl Frazenda, work performed by the Philipstown Highway Department for the month of June. We had some of the best weather for the start of the summer season. Temperatures in the mid to high 70s made it perfect for crews to get out there and fill potholes, mow, and grade. Crews also worked on new easements on South Mountain Pass. Updates for the new highway garage project. The asbestos abatement contract was awarded to United Safety. The removal process went smoothly and finished ahead of schedule. Temporary electric was set up at by Padal Electric in anticipation of renovation work. Bid for the new fueling station was awarded to American Petroleum and will be installed soon. The Highway Department received approximately 25 phone calls for the month of June, and approximately $9,800 was used in vehicle maintenance for the month of June.
Thank you to Carl.
Carl will present.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Building and land acquisition, as everyone could see, this project is nearly complete here in Town Hall. We still have a few odds and ends we're working on. You'll see that work happening in the coming weeks. The next project on deck is the highway garage. This is an expensive project, and this is not something we're entering into lightly. We've been talking about this for years. It's a big nut to crack, but we won't have a building if we don't do something. I mean, we need to maintain the roads. In order to maintain the roads, you need a building to work on the trucks. You need a building for men. You need a facility. This has been a long time coming. That building went in 1950. It was probably a 25 to 30-year building at the time. Here we are, 2021, and it's still kind of standing. So this isn't something that we entered into lightly. We spent a couple of years, the last 3 years, planning on this. We're hoping for federal funding under the infrastructure bill. If that doesn't come in, there is going to be an impact to taxes. There's no doubt about it. We're going to work at that to make sure that impact is as low as possible. But again, there's no getting around this. You need that facility. There's no, we just can't operate like that. And the fuel systems wouldn't pass inspection with the state. The garage itself inside does not pass for safety or for working conditions. The ventilation,
system, the
nothing.
heating system failed last winter. We ended up with a temporary propane system to heat the building just to keep it at 40 degrees.
Right, so
it's not
just,
fit.
yeah, it's not a workable situation. But as always, we're going to be the best stewards we can of taxpayer dollars. But again, if we're going to have a town, there are certain things you have to have, and the highway department is one of them, especially in a town like Philipstown, which comprises 50 square miles, 60 miles of roads, 30 miles of those dirt roads. So it's a lot of work, and we have to have a facility. But we are hoping that the application that is submitted for federal funding will come through. That application is for $2 million. If that comes through, that's going to offset a lot of this, and the impact to taxes will be nil or very, very slight. If not, we're going to be looking at the highway budget and seeing ways that we can offset the project. We've talked about a lot of things. It's not as if we entered into this without a plan. We do have contingency plans if we don't get the federal funding, but we feel like we're in a strong position to get that funding. We certainly do deserve it. We have rarely ever asked the federal government for funding in this town. So, and our congressman, I know, is working hard for us. Congressman Maloney is working hard to get that funding for us and funding for the whole Hudson Valley for other projects. So as far as building and land acquisition, that's it for now. Cemetery Committee. So Mike is not here. So that will be, that will be Jason now.
That will be me.
Yes.
I have not attended a cemetery committee meeting yet, but I look forward to it.
Yeah.
And,
Have to get up to speed on that.
We'll set you up with that.
okay. All right. All right.
All right. Well, thank you for taking that over.
Yep.
Putnam County Legislator. Here comes the Putnam County Legislator.
Thank you, Nancy.
Happy to have you here. You fit right in, and I'm nostalgic for all the old days of the Depot Theater and the town board. This is really nice. So welcome, and thank you for your service. I'm happy to be able to announce a grant for the Senior Center in Philipstown. Our Assembly member, Sandy Galiff, secured the $250,000 from the Dormitory Authority. The state funds will help alleviate the enormous local burden that the lease and rehab of the former Leahy Pavilion puts on taxpayers. As you probably read, sales tax revenue is on the rise. We've collected, more this year than any other year. May alone was $5.3 million. That was a $334,000 increase. Putnam County alone was the only county that exceeded 2019 sales tax revenue, collecting $66 million. So we have a projected $59.7 million in sales tax revenue by year's end. I love that Jason has hit the ground running and is, we've had conversations about how to address the sales tax issue in Putnam County. As you know, I sent you the recording and some material from the Finance Commissioner about the tax secrecy law and how I can't get the information breakdown of sales tax by zip code, but I think we're determined, and I had some conversations with Sandy Galiff, as did some village trustees, Kathleen Foley, to talk about how we could get to the bottom of it with the state. Putting street overpass on the Taconic Parkway, Putnam's most dangerous overpass, is complete. And Putnam's first culture festival will be Saturday, celebrating the county's diversity in music, food, and fun. That's at Tilly Foster Farm from 12 to noon. The drowning off of Little Stony Point last week was horrific, and I'm grateful to the fire companies who responded with professionalism and compassion that they always bring to the scene. When we, Putnam County, I'm the legislator, sent the boats back. We also sent an onboard infrared camera, which would have been helpful in recovering a victim. But here we are. So my questions to the legislature on Tuesday night was, who will ensure that our firefighters are working at secure marine scenes? Who will step in to investigate those scenes? And what are the mutual aid agreements? I sent another memo to the county executive, the second memo, asking what plan she had in place, because to my knowledge, the supporting agencies in Westchester, Rockland, Orange counties were only informed on June 17th that we were without a Marine unit, despite the fact that we defunded it in November and dismantled it this month. So the greater impact, I would argue, will be on the everyday. On busy weekends, who will do the day-to-day patrol, speed checks, safe operation checks, who will deal with boaters driving under the influence. These aren't the jobs of fire companies, despite the fact that they do a tremendous job. These are law enforcement responsibilities, and Putnam County has just walked away from its responsibility on the Hudson River, and I am sorry.
Can I just make one comment? I was unfortunately on that scene that night, and
Sorry.
I appreciate your efforts that you've done and supported the sheriff to try to keep the boat on the Hudson River, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
The rest of them should be really disgusted with the fact that they defunded this boat, and unfortunately, 2 weeks later, when the boat went out of service, we had this tragic drowning. And I know there's going to be plenty of people say it wouldn't have prevented the drowning, and more than likely, it probably wouldn't have, but I can think of 1,000 different scenarios on how it may have prevented the drowning.
You're a trained EMT, I'm a trained EMT. An extra set of eyes on the water would have
Right.
made all the difference.
There was probably 5 to 6 boats, rescue boats there. Not one police department boat. So there was not one police department boat on the Hudson River that night. There was a state police helicopter in the air. There were more police officers on the shore than I've ever seen at any event in my life, but there is no patrol on the Hudson River. What's preventing anybody from boating while intoxicated, unsafe boating? I mean, there's a whole list. You would think with the amount of tourism and the amount of use that the Hudson River brings to Putnam County, that that's the least that we could do is put a patrol boat on the Hudson River. There is no explanation to me. I mean, if we were in dire financial situation and it had to be cut, I'd still think there'd be another place that they could cut that would be more appropriate than that single boat that patrols the Hudson River. There were even police there that day saying, man, I can't believe we don't have our boat in the water. So, and I'll leave it at that, but I am disgusted with the fact that the Putnam County Sheriffs do not have a boat on the Hudson River. So I'll leave it at that.
Up until the final hour, I just want you to know from November on, up until the day of, I pleaded with them to, and when they were scheduled to take the boats, I called Parks Commissioner, the Parks Marine Control Officer, Linda Cooper of our state parks, and our state representatives, and unfortunately, they stated they have no control. And as the captain in charge of the Marine unit said, was the state was bullied by the county. And just to let you know, I didn't report on our expenditures this month, but we did approve $20,000 in furniture for the golf course, and I don't have the itemized bill for the improvements at Tilly Foster Farm, but it's over $500,000, I'm sure. And as you know, I sent you the reporting that I've been asking for on that. So everybody got raises. We have new furniture at the golf course, and we're running a catering business, but we're not providing essential services.
I even heard a recording of one of the legislators saying that removing this boat presents no life safety issues on the Hudson River, and that could not be further from the truth.
And not to keep going, but the memo, the press release issued by the Bureau of Emergency Services was terribly misleading to the public, stating that it would not have made a difference, there wouldn't have been a boat in the water, it wouldn't have responded. The fact is, there would have been a boat at the Cold Spring Boat Club. There was an officer on duty who was trained. It would have been a matter of minutes when he was in the boat and on the scene. So,
And you could even think back to a scenario where maybe the boat would have been going by and told those people, that's not a safe place to swim. So there's a million.
endless.
A million scenarios on how it could have helped. There's not one where it would have been a harm to the situation, so.
Even up until Tuesday night, when I expressed this to the legislature, they still stand firm that it wouldn't have made a difference after a drowning. And I'm just sad that, you know, you think about your own child in that water, and maybe it would have been a different story.
It was not a pretty scene.
No, I'm sorry you had to witness that. And thank you again to all the fire departments.
New York State, it's penny wise and pound foolish, because it was paid for, the boats were paid for by New York State, I mean, and half the cost.
And the program is reimbursed
And
half by
reimbursed.
New York State as well.
And the very fact that only moments ago, we're talking about this bonus in sales tax revenue.
Yeah.
The county's flush with money, and as is the case most of the time, the western side of the county, Philipstown, is always shortchanged, taking our sales tax money and not giving it back, where that sheriff's boat more than likely would have been on the water at that time. And to say that that would have had no impact, well, a jet skier pulled the man out. So how can you say if there was a sheriff's boat there that they couldn't have pulled out this victim? Instead, you have a dead 16-year-old.
And who's to say going forward, you know, there's a lot of summer to go here. There's-
I did ask that they keep the boats on for at least the busy holiday weekends, since they're free.
Yeah.
We don't pay for the boats, I mean,
It
maybe,
almost feels punitive.
yeah. So, I'm gonna just continue to pull back the curtain, and, that may seem for naught, but, I mean, I think if you pull it back far enough, you'll see that the money we're spending on other things and not essential services is astounding.
It's an outrage.
I hope the furniture's comfortable at the
Yeah,
Right, yeah. Maybe the parents of the dead girl can go sit in it.
I mean, I think
Sorry.
all of us, when we got that news, it was so sad over July 4th weekend to hear about that. And, you know, I know everybody, like Richard, you were saying, responsible with taxpayer money, but in terms of thinking about what you cut and the impact it can have, that was a $41,000 cost to maintain those boats on the river. And, you know, when you read the PCNR article the week before this happened, when they were having this debate about cutting it, and the committee chairwoman Nassarino said in that debate, in no way will our action jeopardize the safety of those recreating along the waterways. I think that has to be reevaluated, like you're saying, Nancy, and like you've been advocating for. And Richard, I know the board has been talking about the sales tax issue for a long time. Nancy, you've been talking about it. Putnam County is one of the only counties in New York State, a handful, that keeps all of the sales tax collected by our local businesses for themselves without sharing it back locally. And I think that with all these fund balances and the fact that they're keeping all this funding, it's time some of that money comes back to our community to support these sorts of services.
agreed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
If you have
Nancy.
any
Keep up.
questions, Feel
keep up
free
the
to
fight.
reach out. Okay, thank you.
All right. You ready?
The first item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the return of escrow for 3315 Route 9, Tony and Kim Ricky.
They did a nice job on the building out there. Looks much, much better. Certainly did clean the place up.
The trailer's gone that he promised he would get rid of, so
Yeah,
followed him.
so all looks good. So with that, we have the resolution from the planning board, the recommendation returning that escrow money. So could I get a motion on that resolution returning the escrow?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor? And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution authorizing the return of escrow for Slopeline LLC.
Again, we have the letter from the planning board supporting this action. So with that, could I get a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution approving the estimate submitted by GMI Inc. for blinds for the Philipstown Town Hall in the amount of $3,960.
Are you sure you don't want to
Keep my boxes?
keep your blind there?
I have no problem with my
knocking over here.
boxes. I know you do. It does the job.
I think you have a future in like Cubist art or something. We do need blinds for the building, especially in the clerk's office. It gets a little sunny in there in the morning. And I know anyone who wants to stop by to see the artwork in there before it gets taken down should see Tara's construction. It's very, very impressive. So,
I couldn't see the screen without it.
There will be an additional 2 blinds. This is the bulk of them, but we missed 2 blinds in the back left.
okay.
But
GMI is local business. We're glad to do business with George. Does a terrific job, and actually, this is a very reasonable price for the quality that he provides. So,
an absolute gentleman.
yeah, I love George. A great guy. GMI. So, could I get a motion on the resolution approving the blind install for Town Hall in the amount of $3,960?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution appointing Robert Percocello to the Board of Assessment Review for a 5-year term, which will expire on July 8th, 2026.
Do we need to do a background check on him?
I think you should.
Robert is a quality young person. I know him personally. I think Tara knows him also. We may all be related.
Yep.
But we're glad to get that vacancy on the Board of Assessment Review filled, especially with somebody as professional as Robert. So with that, could I get a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Shea to sign the MOU for the Hudson Valley Greenway Grant, and this is nunc-pro-tunc.
This is matching.
Really?
Yeah, or income.
I don't think it is. I think it's a small grant. Because we've done plenty of these. I don't think this is. It can be. The income can be. But it's not. These are just, this is
grantee.
boilerplate.
Provide
But
match.
it's just if there are matching funds. This is the a definition page. We're not
Okay.
on a hook for anything here. But that just defines the terms.
Okay.
We were having discussion that in the contract, there is a document that defines the terms of the grant. If there is in-kind to match, or if there are matching funds, there is a definitions page, but that does not mean in this grant per se that there are matching funds required.
I believe, and I don't know, I was going to ask this dumb question if I need to abstain. I'm on the Philipstown Trails Committee, but part of the grant, I think the Philipstown Trails Committee matched that $37,500 with their own time, with their voluntary
Right,
time.
but
from the
not,
Trails Committee.
this isn't for the town of Philipstown matching 37.
Not at all. It was community members matching it with their volunteer time from Philipstown.
That's a lot of hours. They're getting $29 an hour according to
They got a good rate. I think they got a really good rate.
They must have.
Well, there's also a lot of hours.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hours. There's, you know, the
lot
Philipstown
of
Trails
time
Committee is
spent.
putting in a lot of hours and time.
Do you want to say anything about the Trails grant itself?
Sure. The grant was, the Philipstown Trails Committee is a group of community volunteers that was chaired by Marianne Sullivan. It's now chaired by Rebecca Ramirez and Laura Bozzi on a voluntary basis. And they're just a group that's been working to expand biking and walking lane options in Philipstown, hopefully connecting Cold Spring to Garrison. I know many people have taken on this task in the past, and I think that the grant, with partnership with the town, which was essential to get the grant, is looking at the feasibility of different routes that could expand biking and walking for local residents between Cold Spring and Garrison, and it will help look at some of the different options.
Yeah, and I know one of the projects that would be great would be a walking route, a safe walking route from the village of Cold Spring to the farmers market at Boscobel and to Boscobel for all the things that go on there. So,
Yep.
All right, with that, could I get a motion on the resolution authorizing me to sign that grant? This is nunc-pro-tunc. We've already done this, so. Could I- Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution authorizing the Highway Department to purchase a skid cutter in the amount of $9,823.73.
All right, this is in Carl's budget. He does need authorization to make purchases this large, though. So another piece of equipment we need to maintain the roads and the shoulder. You know anything about this, John?
I don't. Must be something for the skid steer.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
and
I
we
believe
must-
it's something to cut the shoulders.
Yeah, and we approved it already in his budget, so.
Yep, so it's been approved in his budget. Could I get a motion on the resolution authorizing that purchase by the Highway Department?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye. Thank you.
Next is a resolution accepting the live load recycling proposal from SAMR in the amount of $1,000.
So we're very happy that we're going to get our electronic recycling program up and running since the county cut it. Another thing the county took from us this year. It's the little things, you know, death by 1,000 cuts. But, you know, $1,000. $1,000 to us is actually meaningful. $1,000 to the county is probably a lot less meaningful considering the size of their budget versus the size of our budget. Was something that we were partnering with the county on and are no longer partnering on. So another disappointment. They serve them up daily to us, though, so we're used to it. We do need electronic recycling. We don't want these products winding up on the roadsides or down in Indian Brook Falls. We would like people to be able to bring them to the recycling center and then get them properly disposed and have that dealt with in the proper way. So at any rate, could I, Councilman Flaherty actually worked on this, so our thanks to Councilman Flaherty. He's not here, but thanks to Bob for taking care of this. So hard to find somebody, but once we did, it was actually fairly reasonable. Could I get a motion on that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution approving the new fee schedule for filming permits in the town of Philipstown.
So in looking around the Hudson Valley at various communities, and we do get a lot of film permit requests, we found out we were sort of woefully low, and it wasn't really even covering the administrative costs. So if you look at the current fee schedule, we have that compared to the new fee schedule. We do get a lot of large companies. HBO is here. They're all here in town all the time. And it does create some administrative headaches. We do have to deal with road closures or getting the building inspector out to inspect different things that they may erect. So we want to make sure that our costs are covered as we process these permits, send people out to do inspections, and then it also, in some ways, there is some liability for the town. And we're not saying we don't want the business here. It's good to have the business, but at the same time, we do want to make sure we're covering the expenses on behalf of the public. So these fees are per day, too, not per permit. So every day is a new permit. So people need to recognize that. Any comments from the board on this in looking at the fee schedule?
No, I think it's timely, as the popularity of our town is a backdrop for many films and
Just Glenwood alone.
programs, yes.
Yeah, I mean, even the tunnel, Indian Brook Road, we've had, you know, they're filming on every road in town, so it's a lot. And sometimes it's a lot of people and a lot of administration and a lot for Greg to get out to take care of, so.
Are we now in line with the rest of the other towns?
We are very much in line with other towns in Hudson Valley now. With that, I would entertain a resolution accepting or approving the new fee schedule for filming permits in the town of Philipstown.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Shea to sign the filming permit for Random Productions LLC for filming scheduled for June 21st at St. Basil's Academy, and this is Nunc Pro Tunc.
Okay, again, here we have a perfect example. Somebody coming to do filming that was scheduled for June 21st. We went ahead and signed that. This was under the old schedule, so, but moving ahead, they'll be paying enough money at least to cover our costs. Could I get a motion on that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye.
I think HBO can afford it.
HBO can probably afford it, yes.
Did you see it was for HBO's White House Plumbers, which is, I guess, Woody Harrelson telling the story of how Nixon's White House fell. So I wonder what they're doing at St. Basil's. I wonder how that's going to fit in, but it's pretty funny.
I can just picture Nixon walking around St. Basil's.
Next is a resolution accepting the remainder of the proposal from the Palumbo Group for construction administration services for the Philipstown Highway Garage project in the amount of $197,205.
It just got hot in here, didn't it? So we had a bid opening a couple of weeks ago here at Town Hall for this highway project. We did speak about it earlier. There are expenses that are going to be associated with this, obviously, and they're not insignificant. These are hefty expenses. One of the things that drives these costs is the WICS laws and Public Works, prevailing wage. They really, really do add a percentage. For small towns, it makes things a lot more difficult. Feels like some of these projects, they could probably up the dollar amounts to help out small towns with being able to cover the expenses. And small towns, you're talking about helping out taxpayers, really what you're talking about. We understand there are concerns about fair wages, but prevailing wages are extreme. I mean, prevailing wage for a carpenter, what we were paying, it was $100 an hour? Or was it more, 125?
It's $1,200 a day.
$1,200 a day. And a painter was $1,200 a day. So if you're going to have somebody here to paint just these window frames, you're probably looking at, you know, by the time they're done, $1,200 a window. Yep. Because they need to be done 3 times. Seems like there could be a balance struck between paying people a living wage and then having to cover costs of $1,200 a day for a single individual. Once these people submit the verified payroll, the only thing we can do is review it. We don't really know that the people are ever receiving the money, you know, that the workers are actually receiving prevailing wage. We rely on the integrity of the contractors, but I don't imagine every single contractor in this state or in this country is up to snuff on that sort of thing. But at any rate, this project's moving forward. We do need to engage a construction management firm. The remainder of their contract, $197,205. We went through this town hall project without a construction manager. John and I both had full heads of hair at the beginning of this project, so it was, I can't go any farther. Just turn my head upside down. So I think it's really necessary. Also, the value that they bring to the project is just eye-opening for us. I think if we had met with this group before we started Town Hall, we probably would have engaged them for the project also. They
were able to value engineer some savings already in the highway garage, and also they have a group of bidders that follow them around. So we had more bidders than I think we would have ever seen without them involved in the bidding process.
The most people I've seen bid on a public works project in this town ever in my tenure.
And so they went through all the bidders, they evaluated, eliminated some of them. They're amazing. They've been through the plans inside and out. They've pointed out several things to us and to the architect. I'm not saying that Justin's not qualified. He's completely qualified, but they've done so many of these highway garages that, you know, they see stuff that we weren't seeing, or Justin. So
no, they know all the players. They're going to give you, you know, they're going to throw up a red flag if they see somebody that's given them problems in the past. So.
And the contractors want to work for them again, so they're going to perform better than they would just for the town of Philipstown.
Right, it's a two-way street. They make sure the process flows, they make sure the job gets done, they make sure benchmarks are, you know, set, and that the goals are met. So we've been really happy with the Palumbo Group so far.
And very professional.
With that, I would strongly recommend accepting this number. So could I get a motion on the resolution accepting the remainder of the proposal from the Palumbo Group?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution awarding the bid for plumbing work, contract number P1, on the new highway garage project to L.J. Capola, Inc., in the amount of $509,000.
Again, this is one of the bidders that was pre-qualified to bid for the project. After their bid was submitted and after the bid opening, this is the bid that we're hoping to accept tonight. They also do a post-qualification to make sure that that bid, and this will follow with all of these numbers, that these bid numbers are something that is inclusive of all the things in the specifications. So they go through the plans with the bidder, they sit down and go through the specifications again, they make sure everyone's comfortable with that number before they commit to it, then we accept it, and then the contracts are signed. So with that, I am comfortable. And again, when we had the bid opening, it was the range of bids in this area was pretty wide.
Huge.
Yeah. So we were happy to see it down this low. Also happy to have them qualified by the Palumbo Group. So I would recommend accepting this bid. So could I get a motion on the resolution awarding the bid for plumbing at the highway garage in the amount of $509,000? Motion.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you.
Next is a resolution awarding the bid for HVAC work, contract number H1, on the new highway garage project to CB Strain, a division of Dynamic Systems, in the amount of $249,800.
Again, we did receive multiple bids, same process for this, same bid opening day, same amount of oversight and review, same sit down with the contractor. So I feel comfortable awarding this bid to CB Strain in the amount of $249,800. Could I get a motion on that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution awarding the bid for electrical work, contract number E1, on the new highway garage project to EJ Electrical Installation Co. in the amount of $320,000.
Another portion of this, you may find it strange that the work needs to be broken down like this, but this is by state mandate. All these contracts need to be awarded separately, not under one general construction contract. Again, we had the bid opening. There were multiple bids on this. All the bidders were qualified, so I feel confident in awarding this bid for the electrical work to EJ Electrical Installation Company in the amount of $320,000. Can I get a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution adopting the 2021 Putnam County, New York Hazard Mitigation Plan update.
All right, did Greg have any comments on this? I know he's been involved in it.
No, yeah, he was involved in the process when we had quite a few sit-down meetings, Zoom meetings and stuff that we did. And Carl as well
Right.
was part of it.
So this is a plan that the county comes up with. It says what it is in the name, hazard mitigation. They talk about storms, stormwater. They talk about all sorts of weather incidents. It's a lot of things to try to mitigate hazards in the townships in the county. There is a county-wide plan. It ties in with emergency services. Our building inspector attended these sessions and had input. Our highway supervisor attended these sessions and had input. So I'm comfortable adopting the county hazard mitigation plan. And this is something they review every single year, I believe.
5 years.
5 years now,
Yeah.
is it? Because I've seen this come, well,
It's addressed.
I think
here
it's
in
every
the
5 years.
seems
Yeah,
like only
it's,
yesterday.
redraft.
Yeah.
At any rate, could I get a motion on that resolution adopting the 2021 county hazard mitigation plan?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you.
Next is a resolution authorizing the Philipstown Highway Department to purchase a replacement dump body for the town's 2014 F-550 cab chassis from Burquip in the amount of $7,285.
This is something that was anticipated in the budget. We do go through a lot of truck parts, mostly not mostly, I mean, some of it's due to age. A lot of it's just due to the fact that salt eats these trucks up. This truck is 7 years old. A lot of times the motors are still fine and the cabs just rot right off of them. So, again, Carl needs this to keep this truck going. These trucks are worth putting the money back into. Since a 550, these trucks have gotten really expensive, especially right now. You don't want to be trying to buy a vehicle right now. It's just really difficult. So with that, could I get a motion on a resolution to purchase the cab and chassis from Berquip?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye.
Next is a resolution approving the agreement between the Philipstown Volunteer Ambulance Corps and the Putnam Valley Volunteer Ambulance Corps.
I'm going to ask for a motion to table this for this evening. We need another week to review this. I know it's partially my fault. We did receive this about a week ago. It didn't come up in my general email, it came up in my specific email. I missed it, but it's something we want to talk a little further about before we go ahead and adopt this. One of the questions is, when is Putt Valley going to sort of get their ambulance corps up to the speed that ours is at? And because for Philipstown to keep branching out, it's just the town board doesn't want to be in the business of running multiple ambulance corps, and that's what it feels a little bit like. I know we're trying to help Putt Valley. They helped us out. We've received help during the time that our ambulance was down. Anything we can do that's in the mutual aid plan, of course, we want to do. And if they need help, even outside the mutual aid plan for a period of time, we don't mind doing that, but we don't want it to become a never-ending thing with them. So could I get a motion to table that Resolution 16?
Just a discussion. They can, per contract, assist Putt Valley up to 30 days without authorization from us. So if there's a dire need for them to provide an EMT for Putnam Valley, they have the ability to do that. So we're not withholding that from them. But for me, before we enter into any kind of longer-term agreement, as Richard said, I don't want to be in the ambulance business for other towns. I think it's appropriate that we provide our own ambulance service. We are more than willing to help our neighbors. We always have been. But I need an exit plan. How are we getting out of this? Because I'm afraid they're going to become too dependent on the service of Philipstown Ambulance. So long-term, what's your plan to get out of this plan? So,
yeah, I'm not sure. That's the thing we need to find out. I'm not sure why they're requiring this. It's going to, in essence, there's a surcharge for us providing them with an EMT. Right. So.
Well, and there's a liability involved with it as well.
Yeah, but also.
No vehicles.
No vehicles.
This is just, and it's really, I mean, the way I'm looking at it, it would not affect the operation of Philipstown Ambulance.
No, it won't.
It's just going to be a hired EMT working under the management of Philipstown Ambulance, being provided to Putnam Valley Ambulance for a 12-hour period, 5 days a week.
I think one of the things that, one of the rationales is that a lot of these guys, since they're so poorly paid,
They work several jobs. Right.
They can work several jobs and pick up extra shifts. Right. So, you know, we can talk about it.
My other question is, if there's a call out or, you know, an EMT doesn't show at Philipstown, does that one get pulled? Because I want to make sure Philipstown has coverage before anybody else does. So, since, you know,
I know, you know, Christoph has been forthright about saying, look, it's not going to impact our ability to cover calls in Philipstown.
And I appreciate the transparency that he came forward with the plan and wants to discuss it.
So we'll you know, review it this week, review it with our attorney, and then make a decision on it next week. I imagine it's going forward. I don't imagine it's going forward for a 1 year period. It feels a little bit long. And then, you know, if it goes ahead and then in 3 months we want to review it again, or, you know, figure out in the interim saying, okay, what's the exit strategy for this? So could I get a motion tabling that item 16 on the agenda?
So.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Next on the agenda is to schedule any workshops or meetings. We have our regular monthly meeting for August 5th, and we could schedule the a public hearing on the update to the comprehensive plan for the same evening, if
Let's do it. What do you say, Nat?
May I approach the bench for just a
Please, please do.
through this work? So, first thing I want to say, Tara, I'm going to address this to you. This is really not an update. This is a new comprehensive plan. So I think we should call it that from this point on. It started out with the notion that it could be an update, but it ended up being much more than that. So I think we should call it the comprehensive plan, and I'm delighted that we're going to get the chance to schedule a public hearing. I'm interested in what kind of a public hearing you envision. I mean, if this is just going to be part of your meeting. Your meeting that night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't anticipate a huge amount of input. I know that, the public has had this document. A lot of the public has worked on the document. It's been
It's been out there, and it's
lot of
certainly
outreach.
available, and we've had our series of public hearings.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, well, fine, if it goes that way, all the better, but if in fact you wanted us to do a little song and dance that night about the comprehensive plan, we could, but maybe it's not required, because we've already done that.
Well, I mean, we could definitely
No, I'd sing better than dance. Sing better than dance.
We could entertain another presentation. We've had multiple presentations about the comprehensive plan, but if you want to do a brief synopsis that night, I think it would be helpful.
Okay. Now comes a tough question.
Yes.
This is the beauty of having a great committee. I can't be here that night, so we'll just have our group, and they'll be there for it. I mean, my sense is you want to get it done, and it doesn't make sense to push it off a week. But
well, we want to have the public hearing because it's a legal mandate. We need to have that public hearing now.
Yeah,
At least
it's
schedule the
technically to
public
be
hearing.
within 90 days of the submission of the redraft.
Exactly. And then, I'd be in favor of adopting it very shortly after. I'd rather have you here the night we adopt it.
Okay. No, I can be here. That's great, because I wanted to talk about then the next thing. So let's assume the public hearing goes well. Maybe you even have to keep it open for September, or maybe it.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if that happens.
Yeah. Okay, well then, you remember now, there are a couple of other things. There's the referral to the county planning board, which I think that's easy.
Yep.
And then there is also meant to be an environmental review, but I think because this is a very aspirational plan and calls for no particular specific activity, I don't know how that gets done, and to what degree that would be difficult. My sense is it's not, but I'd be interested in knowing.
No, I imagine this gets a negative declaration under seeker.
Okay, so that takes
No
care
action,
of it.
no actions.
That takes care of itself. We just tell them that we're doing it. I mean,
Yeah, it does. If you make a neg deck.
okay. I just don't know enough about that.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to the town attorney and Ron Gaynor, our town engineer. He'll
Great.
know.
Well, that's wonderful. Let's think adoption sometime in the fall, and maybe it can even coincide with sort of budget time, because you remember in the plan there's this idea of trying to pull out 2 or 3 things that we want to work on
Right.
in the coming year.
Yeah. We'll also refer it to the planning board,
Yeah.
so our local planning board. So,
Wonderful. Gosh, thank you all.
but it is, again, my hat is off to the entire committee, and you especially, Nat, because it really is a solid way forward for the town. Also, really easy reading, I have to say.
Yeah, that was the idea. Make it easy so that it comes, it comes up and we use it a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really am. I'm proudest of this mandate to every year, rather than have 150 things that we could do in the comprehensive plan, because it's all there, to pick 5 in consultation with all of you. I think it assumes that we would have a standing comprehensive plan committee that would sort of tee these things up. Mm-hmm. But it just sort of focuses it every year so that it doesn't just, we'll get to that. It gets teed up. I mean, it may get all pushed aside, but at least there's a sense of annual priority.
Oh, there's a lot to be proud of there, though, so thank you.
Okay, great. Well, that's what we'll do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also in workshops, I know last month we had discussed having a workshop on the marijuana legislation with the villages. The village of Cold Spring, I was told, does not want to have a joint meeting, and I never heard anything from the village of
They
Messina.
don't want to.
No, I had gone back and forth with Jeff, and he said they were going to speak about it at one of their meetings, and then the next day, Councilman Flaherty emailed and said the Village of Cold Spring is not interested in meeting.
All right.
And I never heard from Nelsonville, so I didn't know if you guys wanted to schedule something on your own for, John wanted to,
We do have to come up with something, and I guess the deadline's September, right?
I think August.
Is it August?
Is that for a referendum? Because December is the deadline for towns to opt in or out, right? December
Well, if you
31st.
take no action, then you don't have control over what happens.
My understanding is we had to have something before the end of August.
Well, let's find out before we schedule the meeting, but we can,
We do have
since we
one
meet,
scheduled next Wednesday.
yeah, we have every Wednesday night, so. What do we have next Wednesday?
That was on the agenda.
Oh, it's on for next
It
Wednesday.
is on. That's
All right, well,
proposed.
Supposed to be, yeah.
well, let's hold on to it then. But let's find out what the deadlines are.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I thought it was, I'm sorry, July 27th. No? Did I have the dates mixed up?
I thought it was September, but,
For
No,
the
I thought we
workshop,
scheduled the
We had
workshop.
gone back and forth about the workshop, but everybody's schedules didn't line up, so I think we had settled on the 14th.
Oh, okay, I'm not here, but I will send something in writing.
And I
All
think
right.
Danielle, she was away also, but was
She's
going to
away, I
prepare
think,
a
next week,
statement.
and the hub wanted to well,
Yeah, she wanted to prepare a statement. She told me she would
yeah.
put
And
something.
I, also, the school district is waiting for the Putnam Prevention Council to do a survey of Haldane students, and there's gonna be important data in that. So I think it's really important to have that data.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, the more input we get, the better off we're gonna be. I mean, it's,
Is that
It-
next Wednesday? Next Wednesday, the
Next
14th is
Wednesday,
the
yeah.
the marijuana
Yeah.
workshop on.
And that would be here. Do you want to do 7 or 7:30?
7:30.
So I'm not gonna be prepared to discuss it until I see the
But at least we'll have an opening salvo here, try to get the temperature of what the board thinks, and maybe we get some community input that night, so. It's a complicated issue. I mean, we'll see where it goes. I don't know where in all likelihood, well, who knows? I mean, it seems like the village is more likely to be seeing a dispensary than the town, but I don't know why, that's just my gut feeling about it. Who knows? We could wind up with something out in Perks Plaza or requests, who knows? But if we do nothing, then we don't have a way to regulate it or to say, here but not here, or not at all. So, all right.
Next
So
on
we're
the
meeting next-
agenda is the Code Enforcement Monthly Report. This is for June of 2021. The total fees collected were $36,729. There were 44 total permits issued, 4 additions, alterations, or repairs to residential buildings, 40 all other permits, including pools, decks, sheds, plumbing, HVAC, 48 certificates of occupancy, 2 stop work orders issued, 4 inspections of public assembly, and 1 inspection of commercial occupancies. Summer is here. Please take the time to review and upgrade your swimming pool safety features, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call the building department with any of them.
Telling you, swimming pools, we have one, and things can happen in 1 second. I mean, and, last weekend, we had some people over with some kids there, and kids running with their swimmies, parents are there, one kid gets out, takes her swimmies off, and I'm just like watching, because I'm like a lifeguard in my own backyard. 2 seconds later, she's running for the pool, and I'm running right for her, because she does not have her swimmies on any longer, and she does not realize she doesn't have her swimming on. And she makes it to the edge of the pool and jumps in. And then I pull her out. But it's just like, the look on a kid's face, like, I can't swim. And it's the sort of thing that can, like that. It's just, you can be watching all you want, but kids move quick, and especially if there's more than one and there are dogs, and it's just a lot going on. So I definitely agree with Greg on that. Things happen in an instant, and the damn dogs are constantly running, they think they can run across the pool, and then they're in and they're like floundering around too. And it's like,
They swim pretty well.
Most of them.
Yeah.
I've seen some of them go down like a stone. It's just they're apt to, they're going in sooner or later. But so yeah, good call on Greg's part anyway. All right. Anything from the board?
I just forgot to add during the conservation report that the Conservation Board is really going to miss Mike Leonard, and they were effusive in their praise for him and all his dedication and service, so.
Yeah, I mean, Mike needs to come back down. We got to close things out with Mike.
The whole town is going to miss Mike Leonard. You don't even know the stuff that he's done, and he's so quiet about it, so reserved, that he's going to be sorely missed.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at the cemeteries. People think it happens by magic, but it doesn't. Unless somebody's spearheading the effort, it doesn't. And unless somebody's looking out for the environment, you know, 24/7 like Mike was.
And I miss Mike myself.
Yeah. Well, he'll be back down. He's only up in Columbia County, so we're gonna get hold of him.
Sorry, I'm shorter down here, and I don't know. I'll try to bring some of what Mike brings. Yeah.
You got a lot to bring.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
So glad to have you here, Jason.
We are
I
definitely.
mean, I'm honored to be here with all of you. You know, I really thank you. You know, I admire the work you all do, and I thank you for believing I could step into these shoes. And, you know, I always respected Mike's work. He always, you know, came prepared and had read a lot, and I've seen him, you know, do a lot of good work. So thank you.
Yeah, Mike was definitely in for all of it. I mean, and then up on every training. So, again, we're going to miss Mike. Anything from the audience? Thank you.
Who's in charge of the air conditioning?
Why? I don't know. I'm sitting here going, if we're like this in the winter, I'd be complaining about heat. I don't know. What is it with the thermostat right now?
Too hot last meeting to freezing this week.
We're gonna have to take a.
Fall asleep. No
We're gonna have to take a look at that. You're absolutely right.
Could I Richard, mention one thing? Is
Yeah.
this the time for it, for new business? So I know that Judy and Nancy have been working a lot with the Philipstown Aging at Home group in Philipstown on advocating for issues for older residents in Philipstown. And we all received a letter, which I think you all received as well, from the Philipstown Aging at Home community organization. It's signed by Sheila Rausch, chairperson, and Linda Ann Ewan, vice chairperson. And it's really just, I think this has been talked about by Nancy before, the Friendship Center in Philipstown is hiring for an outreach worker right now. And, you know, that outreach worker, their main job responsibility, as I'll read some from the letter, is their main responsibilities are to assist in the identification of seniors eligible for a variety of programs and services, provide follow-up telephone calls and home visits, provide transportation, shopping, and/or pharmacy pickup services to seniors. And so Philipstown Aging at Home is just expressing the idea that while the senior center is good for older residents that can make it there, that, you know, as you all saw when you organized the COVID-19 response, there are a lot of elders that are isolated at home, that have mobility problems, that need support, and that hiring the right outreach worker would be one of the most important steps to identifying those invisible and isolated. So they were just submitting this letter to the town board and asking, you know, because the town of Philipstown pays half of the outreach worker's salary, that there is some say by the town, and Judy, I know you probably have thoughts about this, there's some say by the town in who is hired for that position, because it can have a big impact on serving Philipstown residents.
Yes, I would like to see us have some input in who is hired.
If we have a recommendation, let's get the recommendation letter together, and then coming from the entire town board, and we'll sign it and send it over.
Okay.
So let's get that drafted as soon as possible, and then we'll send it out.
That's excellent. So they have a draft. I will give it to you, and so if the
Let's get it to Ann and get it on town stationery,
Okay.
and then we'll sign it. I'll sign it and send it out.
Okay, and I think the only thing they asked us, other thing they asked us to mention is that the outreach worker position, the county is planning to hire it in July or August. It's an open position. It's been very hard to find the job application and description for this position, but we have it, and so Philipstown Aging at Home was just asking, it's an important position for someone in Philipstown who cares about the elderly community, knows the elderly community, to apply for that job, to apply for that position in Philipstown. And so they asked, Tara said that we may be able to post that job description and application on the town's website and just encourage community members to apply for that job.
Let's get it up then. I mean, there's no reason to hesitate on that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
We have 0 vacancies.
That's fantastic.
0 vacancies. We are back in the highlights. Okay, approval of vouchers, general.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Highway. Anyone?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Continental Village Park District.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Continental Village Water District.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Adjourned.